Yeah, I think, okay, am I good? Okay, I think I'm good now. Thanks, Victor, for having me. And thank you. And I apologize for the delay. It was due to an engagement, an unforeseen one. I really apologize that I was holding you guys. Like I mentioned, my name is Abimbola Kareem, and I don't really want to go back to all the, introduction again. I'm going to be discussing about the organizational service management. I know a lot of people in this day and age actually have, let me quickly share my slide while I'm speaking to save time. I have a sort of organizations or businesses that they actually want to put out there, especially in this age of competition where it's quite fast changing and engaging. So people just want to put out something out there, but there is something they fail into, consider as at the time of coming up with all these innovations or all these opportunities or offerings. So one of them is the service management. So of course, you may have an idea of what you think is suitable for people or what you think is suitable for the market, but do you really have an idea of how to manage your target customers? Not manage them in terms of the offerings, but manage them in terms of failures or manage them in terms of challenges, things you're not really, looking at, our government regulations that just came out of the blue. How do you, gear up or prepare for this unforeseen situation? Sorry, I'm still struggling with showing my, okay, I think I found it now. Okay, good. So, yeah. So, how you want to actually, so some of them, it's most of this organization in question are actually struggling with, coming up with, how to manage their targets, markets, customers, in terms of, so a lot of issues that may be beyond their control and some that are within their control, you know. Actually, like let me say, after this class, I expect some of these participants on this call to learn about what IT service management is and understand the need for an IT service management in their organizations and what is called ITIL framework. So in reality, some people actually have IT service management. They call it ITSM. So I'm going to be going through this and I'll be talking more on that. So, but I think I have 30 minutes according to Victor now that we are actually looking at 6 o'clock, which is quite challenging, but I would try. I don't want to rush things, but I would try because I'll have to explain a lot of things. So, but it's fine. Basically, the IT service management, basically, which is still the same thing as the organizational service management in reality, is more or less like the day-to-day, organizational, planning, where they plan about how they want to go about their business, where they even design, protocols, standard operating procedures, how they want to engage customers, how they even want to build their products. It goes a whole lot. I mean, it goes around a lot about what they offer and who they offer it to and how they manage these people, how they manage their offerings and services. Of course, how they plan it, how they design each of these things and how they deliver them. How they test them as well, how they configure them at the same time, how they, operate within their existing IT infrastructure and all the applications. So it's more or less of a continuous, delivery of features and services, like I mentioned earlier, is what you are offering to people, without hindering, the efficacy of it and the reliability of it, and how you can quickly manage challenges, regardless of what train. What that means is whatever happens, you ought to have had a kind of framework or strategy in place of how you want to engage people. And all this strategy comes with their own, standard operating procedure, where you would have laid them out, and how you want to manage your customers. Customers may be different kinds of customer. It may be like B2B, like business to business. It may be B2C. It could even be B2G. That is business to business, business to customer, and business to government. And you would have had a kind of something they call SLA, where you would have signed a kind of understanding with the other party, that is your partners or your customers in this case. And then you would have had a kind of service level agreement with them as to what you need to deliver and what they need to deliver. That is your responsibility of both parties and how all these things will be delivered. So in case of any dispute in future, and again to prevent litigation and all that on your organizations. So all these things will protect you, protect the other party as well. So that is part of that is part of service management as well. But I'll be getting there as I go along. So, actually to have an effective IT service management is actually about, like I mentioned, planning. That is, you ask the right question at the same time, so you know what to do, you know what to design. You identify the pain points of your technical architecture. Okay, what are the things we have? What are the things we don't have? What are the things we need to have to ensure that we compete with the people out there? And how can we really even manage our customer base? We have like 1 million customer base, or we have like 10 million customers to penetrate, or we have an existing customer we need to pull into our own database. How do we manage all these people in terms of infrastructure, in terms of size, in terms of capability and capacity? All this needs to be identified. And what are the things this customer need? How often does our service up and down? All those things we ought to have known. And how often our customers complain. But in case we don't have customer yet, we can actually use existing business as a base or as a kind of yardstick to measure what we can expect or what we can see if you open our own business or if you start our own startup company, for example. And if it's a running organization or running business, we can check from what we currently have, in terms of complaints, in terms of feedback from customers, in terms of how we engage our customers and all that. So that should actually give us a kind of insight as to how to get, give us an insight as to how to get, manage our customers. So, and again, it helps you to focus on the efficiency of your service delivery. Well, if we have like 10,000 customers, how do I ensure that my infrastructure, my application actually accommodates this 10,000 or 1 million? Do I need to have more server? Do I need to have a very large database? Or do I need to buy more, or do I need to hire more, hands? Do I need to hire more experienced guys? Or do I need to move my service from Lagos to Abuja or something? Or do I need to have a data center? It depends on the kind of business you're doing. The kind of business you do actually determine, the kind of efficient or service delivery you're going to give to people. And your customer base, the number of customer base you're targeting will determine how large or how large your infrastructure should be and how you want to manage this infrastructure in terms of customer service, in terms of support, in terms of operation, even in terms of your product itself. So all these things depends. And in reality, a lot of people don't put all this into consideration. So like I mentioned earlier, the IT service management is our day-to-day execution and organization of what you plan, what you design. And it's just basically continuous delivering of features and service to customer quickly without hindering any reliability, as well as fixing issues faster. I don't know if you have any question now, you can ask me so I can quickly delve into it before I move forward. And again, it even help you to devise, an effective incident response strategy. That is, if a customer is having a problem, you can always help them, and the way you handle that incidents would help you further, re-strategize on how to manage your customer and how to further improve on the way you manage your customer. As we all know, the business we have today is about customer acquisition and retention. And of course, when you have customer acquisition, is to sell something to the customer. And when you sell something to the customer, you end up generating revenue. And after revenue, you end up looking at your profitability. in terms of the number of product and number of customers or service you render out there, all this mix. So it's about ensuring that you serve your customer well, you keep them, you kind of achieve their loyalty. When you get their loyalty, of course, you get more revenue from them. Of course, it's about making money, or sometimes it's about inculcating value. And as such, this value comes from customer satisfaction. You want to retain them as much as possible. You want them to speak about you. You want more customer to come through them. So what are the things you manage, in IT service, basically? So what you do is you actually monitor your service, you monitor your products, how it's doing out there, and you get alerts. So when I say monitoring, in this case, monitoring basically is is two things. It's either you have a kind of manual monitoring where you send out a kind of survey or feedback form to people to ask them about your service, how it's doing, and they kind of give you feedback. But that is quite or sound archaic in a way. You don't really get what you need on time. So again, you could have a kind of automated system whereby you monitor your servers and see how your servers are doing in terms of application running on it. And you see where something is happening in terms of load or traffic. And you want to ensure that you quickly manage that so it doesn't cause problem. You don't go down. That is, you don't have server downtime or something, which would definitely cause inaccessibility to your service or your application or your products in this case. You want to get alerts on time. Alerts comes in two different ways. If you are using automatic monitoring, or the word is automated monitoring rather, you can of course get alerts to say, okay, something is happening on this server or is happening on that particular application. When I say server, I'm just talking server generally. It could be on any of your modules on your application. I don't know if I'm actually talking jargon because I don't really know the set of people I'm talking to, if they are more technically savvy or not. I'm afraid. Sorry, I don't mean to offend anybody, but I'm just trying to say.
So basically, like I said, it's a team of people who are trying to understand the business of technology. I was thinking, but let's still have declared that. So it's the business of technology, and what we are talking about are people who are either tech enthusiasts or startups or people employing technology in the core of their businesses. So your approach should be more telling them the things that will help their technology business, their startup business, whatever it is, to be able to achieve scale or be able to optimize the service.
Okay, thanks. Actually, Azan actually told me about the startup part of it. So I just want to know the level of, their savviness in the area of technology. I do not mean to offend anybody. I just want to tone down my jargons a bit so I don't get to speaking more of technicals and without communicating to the people that I'm meant to be communicating with. So I'm sorry if I offend anybody. So I'm just trying to say, okay, the alert again could come, as I'm mentioning, the alert again could be automated in such a way that whenever your server is actually where you hosted, all your applications. It could be different kind of server. It could be the test server, but in this case, it's going to be production server. That is where the public access your applications from. Application in this case could be any of your products, any of your ideas that emanated into a product that is offering a service of value, to people out there. And from there, you actually make revenue from there. Or it could be normal social value. You might want to impact life. You don't want any money, which is something too. So how are you ensuring that people are actually using it, and you actually getting value? You are getting value for what is meant to achieve. All these things you have to monitor them using some sort of automated software. So they're gonna monitor it on a dashboard, something that has to do with graphical dashboard where you can see how things are doing. Of course, you're gonna have a technical guy that understands the interpretation of all this monitoring. I get alerts if there is any strain or traffic on any of this monitoring. The other monitoring and alerts, the other alert, like I mentioned, the manual monitoring, which has to do with you sending a kind of feedback form to people that you're already serving, just to get their feedback on what you're doing. Because as a startup, for example, if you push your product out there, you want to know how people are engaging with the product, whether they're enjoying it or not. You want to ensure that you get a lot of feedback as much as possible. And as such, for you, and the essence of doing that is to improve on your product, to improve on the way you are serving your customers. So whenever you get that, so you can always improve on whatever you're doing. And it's a way of showing that you care about your customers, about what they are purchasing from you or what they are using from you. So it's still a way of saying, oh, these guys are good. So they kind of like, following up with us. Another alert is somebody actually coming up and complaining about the kind of service they're getting from you. Is that good or bad? Is that some tiny bit of it? Is that some a whole lot of it that we're not getting this? It's always downtime. We can't make payments of this. We can't make payments of that. We can't purchase this. We can't upload our form. We can't register. All those things. We want to ensure that by the time you're coming up with your startup with your product, of course, your product is one thing, like I mentioned earlier. Your idea is one thing, very sweet idea. But how you set up a customer service, that would always manage your, brand, that will manage its products in case of an unforeseen situation? Do you have a standard operating procedure in place, in case if, for example, government's, regulation comes in and they ask you to shut down part of your, modules or your application or your service because you don't really have, because you have to like go and ask for something, go and, acquire some license, so in order to keep you in the business or to even shut it entirely. Just for example, with the likes of cryptocurrency recently in Nigeria, where you cannot really use your bank accounts, to fund your crypto wallet and the likes, So those are the things you have to like, okay, in the event of this, how do we manage these customers? Or in the event of, we need to build more features, how do we manage this? So, and in the event of somebody actually coming on board to say, yesterday I made payment of 5,000 naira, I didn't get an alert or I didn't get what I ordered for. How do you manage that? All this needs to be put in place, which can still be discussed in some later, webinar like this. How you actually set up a customer service, how you kind of set up a support team that will help you manage your ads, monitoring and telling you, either allowing the customers to create tickets, and from there you start. Can anyone hear me, please? Hello, can anyone hear me? Hello, can anyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. So how do you allow customers to create tickets, and even you could even create tickets internally as well to say, that's allow you, to, track from the inception to the end, in inception of the issue resolution to the end. When I say incident, of course, you call it issue as well. Issue could be server downtime. It could be probably we don't have enough, what's it called? Storage space. Servers that automatically switch from one server to the other. In case if traffic is coming from one, it would definitely, just like the way Facebook, you'd be wondering, Facebook has billions of users and still it doesn't really crash because they have availability and they have a whole lot of server data centers where, they keep building more servers, they keep building hard drive, they keep building storage spaces, almost every time. So that's why you don't get to crash. So in our own case too, it could be any of these things. If that is the case, if it's server problem, you can create tickets internally. If it's something that is coming from the customer out there, you can actually ask the customer to create ticket, and from there you monitor. The reason why you monitor is actually you want to know the customers, you want to know the kind of issue you're trying to resolve, and you want to see from the beginning to the end that issue has been resolved. If it's not resolved, you can always know the reason why it's not resolved. Maybe it's coming from the customer, or it's something out of your control, or it's something from the government, or it's something from third party. So it depends on what the nature of the issue. So yeah, these are the common, that is ITSM, that is IT service management processes, and tools you can find out there. So the incident management, the problem management, the asset management, the change management, and the release management. I will try to be fast on this. the incident management basically, is speaking about, how you, try to like have a kind of collaboration between your engineering, your security. Some people don't even have security team. When I mention startup now, some people just have engineering team, which makes up of the web developers, the UI guys, the back end, and and the likes. They don't even have an architect. They don't have a solution architect. So they don't even have security architects. Security staff that would look into what they are building, the kind of segment they are entering. If it's fintech, for example, the kind of security that is expected of them to be put in place, so they don't lose people's money or they don't get to jeopardize people's, ad-end money, or they don't get exposed or vulnerable to hackers out there. All these things needs to be looked into. And again, the operational team as well. Operational team, of course, will consist of the engineering guys, the sales guys, and some other guys out there, So all these guys needs to work together to ensure that incidents are actually managed, Like I mentioned earlier, you have to, and again, to actually, in case of an issue or in case of an incident, maybe it's internal or it's from external, or maybe someone is actually, maybe it's the customer that is complaining about this incident. There's a need to actually restore the service back. So you can always have access to the service or to the application. It depends on whatever you're offering the customer. So number one is to detect the issue. And like I mentioned, getting alert from the customers. So when you detect the issue yourself using some sort of automated, technology, or you want to get it from the customer, which the customer could actually, log on to your incident management system, which is something we can talk about probably in later engagements. And you want to prioritize these issues. So prioritizing these issues could be, okay, you look at the weight of the issue. If it's something you need to really attend to, it depends on the weight and the, and how, detrimental it could be to your business or to your architecture and infrastructure, or even to your customer base. It depends on how it is that you prioritize them. Okay, let me quickly sort this out. Let me leave this one. You could have a ton of issues. You want to prioritize them. And again, you raise tickets, for each of these issues. Okay, these are the issues. You raise the ticket for them. And again, you resolve the issue. Of course, if it's something that has to do with you building a new application or you fixing a bug on your solution, then you're going to have to assign it to a certain person, which is the web developer. If it's something that has to do with you actually, just saying we are sorry, it's not going to happen again, or you want to refund somebody, or you just want to like do some sort of changes, or you want to, it depends on how you resolve the issue. And when you resolve the issue, you update the tickets. So whenever the customer goes back to your incident management system, when the customer key in their tickets number or something, you can always see the status of the issue resolution, whether it's being resolved or is in the process of being resolved or something like that. And you close the ticket at the end of the day. So, well, like I mentioned earlier, again, after this is done, as the team and service grows, as you are every day to day operation, you tend to like learn more about how you manage your people, your customers, and from there it gives you a kind of improvement, into your services and how it's being delivered to your customers. So, and that still forms part of your strategy to manage your incidents, because it's like you learn from the challenges, something like that. So problem management. So in reality, problem management is more or less like the incident management. But problem management actually look, holistically into what is actually behind the issue that is occurring. Like I mentioned the other time, if somebody say I made payment and I didn't get an alert. So of course you have to that's an incident, of course, you have to manage that incident. But you have to now look at what's the root cause of this issue of, making payment without getting an alert is. That means you have to check with your partners, maybe somebody that is giving you the service of that payment transfer or something like a bank or like all this fintech out there, like Paystack or Flutter, whatever they like. So you have to check with them to see what's going on. So you have to look at the root cause of it. Or is it someone that just messed up with the code? Is it our server? The exact thing that actually happened. You have to look at that as well. So, and again, like I mentioned earlier, there are ways before you could actually set up your problem. Any of your any of your incident management or problem management, you should have automated alerts. You should have on-call scheduling. in place, which is more or less uses software or tools, information technology tools to manage. And again, this should be collaborative to manage, like I mentioned, with your teams in place. Your asset management, which has to do with your physical and technology assets, you have to like name them, you have to tag them, you have to ensure that they are in good order. And then whatever happens to them, you have to take note of them. So of course, whenever one is aging, you have to replace it, or you have to learn, as I said, startup, you have to learn about how do we manage this? Am I hosting on Amazon, AWS? Am I hosting on Azure? Are they able, or am I hosting on premise? How do I manage on premise? These things will inform your decision whether you should manage. You should host on premise, or whether you should, just raise fund enough to go and to use Amazon or Microsoft Azure, something like that. So, and again, all your changes, whatever that happens, on your, assets should be like recorded, like I mentioned. So just to have a kind of history, or you can always refer to them in case anything happens in future. So yeah, we have change management as well. Change management in ITSM, which is Information Technology Service Management. So it's to create a standardized process or procedure, like I mentioned, standard operating procedure the other time for pushing changes to application and infrastructure. So if, for example, I mentioned if someone is, if customers actually say we want a new feature, or you see that there's a feature out there that is competitive that people are actually using. Say, for example, people are using cryptocurrency to make payments now. It's now in vogue. And what you have presently is normal bank transfer and they can't pay card payments, or so you want to, add that cryptocurrency as an option. So what that means is going to have a change management. The system is already running. People are using it. You don't want to shut it down. So what you want to do is to actually involve all the stakeholders, including customers. The stakeholders, internal stakeholders, needs to know about this. Of course, there would have been a standard operating procedure in place where you would have known how to go about this. You would have documented it that, okay, these are the way we go about this. You will inform all the stakeholders, including the customers. You would have sent some sort of emails or text message to the customer to say, what, as also time, as also day, we're going to have to shut down. So you'll not be able to access this service. At those times, what you're actually doing is you're pushing new changes onto your own application. So they would, if at that point they are trying to make a payment or something and it's not going, they will know that they've already told us. They won't frown on you. They won't be angry with you. They'll be like, okay, they've already told us. So that's a way of managing your customers. It's also part of change management. And there's something they call ITIL. I may not be able to go into ITIL today. It's a broad.
Yeah, so I think we can as well. I think change management is a wonderful place for us to be able to pull curtains over this. And of course, it's out of respect for quite a number of our ecosystem members who, of course, planning their team. If you still try to stay behind in the office to be a part of this, but I think he's done a fantastic job. And thank you very much, Abimbola, for this session. I mean, quite short, but what's the assurance that we give to you is the fact that this recording and of course, the totality of his presentation will be up tomorrow on our website, and my colleagues are dropping it in the chat room, www.equicenter.com/webinar. You will be able to see this particular recording, and you will be able to also, get all the slides which he has, and then you can go through. The beauty of it is that as you run through that and there are concerns and questions, please do the honor of trying to do us a favor of going into the Techbiz platform. My colleagues are also dropping the details of the address of the Techbiz forum and on Telegram. And of course, you can go in there and ask questions, and I'm sure Abimbola will be able to provide some answers to that. And of course, what are some of the key highlights he brought out from there? And for me, it's big around quality. Okay, and it's for us that despite the fact that you have all the engineers and people looking at and building your software and building your application on your platform, is the fact that you need to ensure that the security is right. You need people who need to look at your system to be able to properly advise about how to be able to respond, where to host, and of course, ensuring that you are very responsive to your customers, that the reason for which you exist, making sure you update them and making sure you have the right triggers and put the right system and structure in place to ensure you are able to manage your systems properly. And of course, he was doing justice to organizational service management, because in the service industry, we cannot continue to lower the standard. You must ensure that you are putting the system and the structure that allows you to get the right triggers to be able to to deliver optimum service to your clients and your customers, and that you are innovating and catching up with the trends, like he was saying under his conversation. And I think Abimbola has done a fantastic job of this. Thank you, everyone, again. Of course, sincere apologies for starting late, but of course, out of consideration for you, for your time, for your program, that we've decided that we will not stretch this too far. Of course, security reasons to ensure that everybody gets to where they're going for those who are still in the office listening to this. This is the 66th episode of Techbiz series, brought to you from Eco Innovation Center, an accelerator set up in 50 Awolowo Road with a clear-cut mandate to helping organizations and startups and people in the ecosystem move from ideation to commercialization. And in doing this, Techbiz is one of the platforms we use to provide the right hand-holding and the equipping that is required for people to be able to achieve this aspiration and be able to scale up in their business. And today's topic, the 66th episode, has been around organizational service management. Next week, we promise, is going to be another edition of Techbiz, in which we will be bringing another subject matter expert to come and grace the platform and to share with you from the depth of their knowledge around his silence. And I'm looking forward to that. That's on the 7th of October, where we'll be having the MD CEO of MDC of Jire Technologies. His silence is going to be the speaker for next week, and is the MD CEO of Jire Technologies. And I look forward to us having him. I can assure he's going to be an exciting time, and I can assure you that it will be worth your while. And therefore, ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for being a part of Techbiz today. Thank you very much for being part of the platform and keeping a date with us. With special thanks to our facilitator, Abimbola Kareem, for the wealth of knowledge he has shared around organizational service management. And we look forward to being able to host you again on another episode, which will be the 67th episode of Techbiz that will be brought for you from Eco Innovation Center. My name remains Victor Benga Folabi, the founder of Eco Innovation Center, saying thank you and wishing you a happy independence tomorrow. Have a great evening, everyone. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.